Well, it's 2:01, and since and we've got looks like 73 connections, but I know some of those are anywhere from 3 to 6 or 8 people, and some of our facilities may be on here too. So we'll just go ahead and get started. Does somebody feel called upon to start us with a prayer? You know, we usually try to start our meetings with a prayer, and does somebody feel called to do that today?
I will.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay. Do I need to introduce myself or just go into the prayer?
Go ahead and introduce yourself so we know who's praying for us.
All righty. I'm Dana Barr. I am the house manager at Weco Cottage in West Columbia, the new collegiate recovery house that y'all opened up. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the blessings that you've bestowed upon us all. To open our eyes, our ears, and our hearts and our minds to what we're about to talk about today. And just lead, guide, and direct us in your will today, Father. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dana, so much for doing that. And we've got a few more people that have joined and might have a few more, but let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing, and I don't have a huge agenda today, but I just want to continue to do this every once in a while, just so we don't lose contact, and we don't get together like we used to, certainly as an organization, because it's just hard to do as big as we've gotten. But it is good when we can get together and share a little bit. Is Mary Shannon on here by chance?
I'm here.
Oh, she's here. Well, I just wanted to call her out for a couple things, but first of all, for being our cover for our Voices magazine. You know, I just came back from a 3-day trip, work trip, and laying on my desk was the new Voices magazine. And by the way, it's the best one ever. Aaron, thank you, and Amy, if you're on here, thank you for that. But Mary Shannon is our cover for that magazine. And if you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to pick up a copy. We mail those out to supporters all over, and we have them in all of our offices and locations. So, and you can see it online. So feel free to go to the website and look at it there too. But Mary Shannon was primarily the cover because she received the You Are the Key award, and I just wanted to lift her up for her good work. And there's a great article in there about her. And then while I'm talking about Voices, I just absolutely love it when it comes out every month. Every quarter, because I'm just blown away by all the good work that you do all over this organization. And, you know, sometimes even I forget what we do and what all we do. And so it really, and then Aaron, who I think does most of the writing for this with help from others, just does a great job of telling our story. So thank you for telling our story, and for all of you, and just looking through here, just all the things from foster care to our WOW award winners to Mary Shannon. It's just great to see, and to Sandra for her Nurse Aide of the Year for District 3. I mean, there's just so many good things going on around the organization, and I wanted to lift that up to you. Matter of fact, I think I could just about do my whole presentation almost from Voices, because I've got one other thing I want to share too. But I mentioned as we were getting started, the folks that are on Matt Hembry's screen, at least up there in my top left-hand corner, that's another new program that we just got started, is our New Americans program in Salisbury, North Carolina. And do y'all know yet when you're going to be taking the first refugees will be arriving in Salisbury? Do we know that yet?
We don't know yet exactly. We're thinking mid-June, late June, early July.
Very good. And because I know you got some groundwork to lay before you get to that point. So
Yeah. Yes, sir.
they're just now getting that groundwork laid. But thank you and good luck
Ted,
with
they're
that.
wanting to know why you haven't been here yet. They're ready to see you.
Be careful what you ask for. I'll be by to visit. You've laid down the gauntlet now. And to that same point, are there any folks from the Myrtle Beach New Americans Program office on here? If there are, somebody take yourself off of mute and say so. And they may not be. Anybody? Nope, apparently not. But I know they just took, that was another new office that we just got opened, and they just took their first, got their first refugees arriving. So that was just wonderful news to see that grow. So Salisbury, you'll be right behind them in that same growth. But congratulations to Myrtle Beach for getting that office opened and moving forward. So congratulations to that. The only other thing that I wanted to share out of the voices, because I had it on my list also, is that really deals more with the senior services side, but it could be available to anybody in the organization, and that is our new scholarship program where we are offering free tuition at the community college system for RN and LPN training. And of course, every teammate in the entire organization is eligible for that, but it is one of the, we do a lot of different things in a lot of different ways, but this one is specifically aimed at creating more RNs and LPNs, not just for us, but for long-term care in general, because we all need to be doing our part because there's such a statewide and a national shortage. So there's an article in there, I think on page 3 on this new tuition program, and folks that are already in RN or LPN school at one of our community colleges or are interested in doing that, I would encourage you to read that article and to read the policies on SharePoint about that, and the more the merrier. We need nurses, and our profession needs nurses. This is one way we're going to try to help. The next on my list, I just wanted to, and I think this came out in, or it's coming out in Scuttlebutt. We've been trying to share this. We've done a little bit of I was afraid to call it a reorganization because we've never organized to start with in some ways, but we have done kind of a reorganization and done some elevating of staff and a little bit of change in the organization for the first time in like since we did the affiliation with Child and Family back about 13 years ago now. But we've named some new folks to our leadership team at the corporate level, if you will. But I know Mary Beth Limley is on here and has become our vice president for teammate services. One of the things that we just need to get our hands around is onboarding and recruitment and retention, the whole personnel piece. And so Mary Beth is leading that effort for us. Keisha Smith became our chief operating officer. And one of the reasons that we did that, and we've talked about it for years, and it's come up in a number of different ways. But we tried to run for years with keeping the two sides separate. the child and family side on one hand and the senior services side on the other. And that's fine most of the time, but a lot of times you miss out on the synergies that you might get between those two working together closer. And so part of Keisha's role in all this is to help us to bring those things together so that we can utilize both sides of the house to grow even stronger and to serve even more. And so it worked that way for about 12, 13 years. It worked in the old way, but now is an opportunity, I think, to do some more things organization wide. And then Mary Beth will be able to help with that too, because that all those teammate services will flow to all of us, all 2,200 now more than that, with our new partners from Glen Flora down in Lumberton and from Aston Park up in Asheville. As we continue to grow, that'll just be more and more important. So I just wanted to lift up those folks for Myra Griffey and Courtney Johnson for becoming vice presidents of the organization and leading from their roles in child and family and senior services, and then Mary Glidewell as our director of information technology and or actually our chief information officer, and then Christina Joyce, our chief administrative officer. So that kind of rounds out that whole reorg, and that will be that whole letter that explains all that will be in your scuttlebutt that's coming out just in the next few days as Aaron finishes that task up.
Hey, Ted,
Yes, sir.
is Keisha going undercover as Jeremy Almond or something? Is
You know,
Well,
yeah.
Kelly,
I
I'm
am-
trying. Don't tell anybody. I was down the hall with the other teammates here at Trinity Place, and I came running to Jeremy's office because they don't have a camera down there, because I was afraid Ted might call on me and I couldn't speak or say hey or anything. So
Well, I thank you, Kelly, for ratting her out. And hey, Jeremy,
Hey, Ted.
you got to be careful. If you'd keep your door locked, you wouldn't have people coming in like that.
Right.
But thank you, because I was scouring, trying to find Keisha on here, and now I know where I know she's hiding out. But thank you for Kelly for ratting Keisha out there, and Keisha, again, congratulations for your role in all this too. The last thing that I want to talk about today, and just briefly, if I can pull that off, is in the next day or so, we're going to be sending out, we don't do this very often, but our State Healthcare Association is going to send out an advocacy alert, and then we're going to send it to all of our teammates, families, residents, everybody that we can bring to bear. Now, this is primarily a North Carolina issue, but South Carolina, you're not off the hook for two reasons. Number one is it might be you next time, but on this time, it's a North Carolina issue, but you can still be a part of it. And I'll explain that in a minute. But what we send out in the next day or so, we're going to ask everybody to send an email or to call their senator and or their House member from their district. So people in Wilmington will be contacting the Wilmington people. And if you put your address in, it will automatically hook you up with those people. So you don't even have to go looking for them. This system that we're going to use through our State Healthcare Association will tell us that. And for those of you that are in South Carolina, you are feel free to use the LSC administrative office address, because otherwise it won't tell you who your North Carolina representative is, because you live in South Carolina. But you can easily say, I work for Lutheran Services Carolinas, and I would like to ask this of you, and let me explain what this is. We have had temporary Medicaid funding all through COVID, and the state was very good to us. They've been giving us about $300 a day for Medicaid. Now, before COVID, we were getting about $200 a day, but they gave us $300 a day because they knew that our expenses were going to be a lot higher because of all the COVID stuff. Well, now, COVID's going away, but what stayed is the workforce issues and having to pay people. We've raised our salaries across the board, as we've all seen, as much as 30%, and raised our benefits, which cost us a lot more money too. But so our costs have gone up, and now that COVID's going away, those costs are not going away because we're not cutting people's salaries back because COVID's over. That's the new starting wage. That's the new place that we are. So if the COVID funding ran out, they would move us back to $200 a day. Well, our cost as an industry in North Carolina is about $303 a day. That's how much it costs to take care of a nursing home patient in North Carolina. Now, for LSC, and I'm not going there with this, but I want you to know it, our cost is about $340 a day because we hire more staff than the average. We hire chaplains. We build private rooms for more of our residents. And those are all things that add to our costs. So it actually cost us about $340. But I'm not being greedy and I'm not asking for more. We're just asking for a statewide Medicaid rate of about $300 a day so that we can continue to do this work. The House of Representatives in North Carolina has approved about $300 a day, which is fabulous. But the Senate turned around and came in at about $275 a day, which is a significant, when you think that over half of our residents are Medicaid, that's a lot of money in a year that we would lose if the Senate version passes. So what we're doing, and all this is spelled out in the material that we'll send out, is we're asking them to cover our cost as an industry, not Lutheran Services, but as an industry. And that's at that $300, roughly $300 a day figure. And we just want the Senate to agree with the House instead of the House agreeing with the Senate, because if it goes down, it's just harmful. And it's harmful to our residents. I mean, primarily, that's who suffers. Now, for those of you that don't work in a nursing home, I do want to explain why this is important to all of us, whether you're in South Carolina, whether in North Carolina in a child and family program, why this is most important. The biggest single thing that we do, and I've just told you all this in our tour to LSC, and I finished that up. I think I finished that up tomorrow in Columbia. So this is, I'll say this again tomorrow to those of you that are there, is the biggest single thing that we do as an organization is skilled nursing care. So if we don't keep that strong, then we don't have a strong economic base from which to do everything else that we do. You can imagine what that would be, if our biggest program goes down the tubes, what that means for all of us. So that's why it's important that we all support whatever program is the issue du jour. Today it's nursing homes. And we've got the biggest opportunity to have a win here. So that's why it's important that every one of us share it with your family members, share it with your friends, just do anything that you can to get those numbers up, because we want to just cover the House and the Senate up with people that understand. And again, we're not asking to make money. We just want you to cover our cost. And that's an easier ask than saying, we want you to make us rich. We don't want to get rich. We just want to cover our cost. So I hope I've explained that good enough. The information that we'll be sending out gets into a lot more detail, and you'll probably understand it a little bit more once you read it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me about it, but I'm happy to try to help any way we can. But I think this is the best effort. We don't call out the troops very often on things like this, but there's enough millions of dollars at stake, and really our financial security, that we felt like we needed to do this for everyone. So it's the nursing home's time to be supported this time. And I won't even ask for any questions at this point on that issue. Just read the material as soon as it comes out. We should be blasting that out in the next day or so, and then feel free to call or email if you have any questions, and we'll try to answer them. I have held that to 22 minutes. That is shocking by my standards, because I could talk to you all day about all the good things going on in the organization. We do have just a couple of minutes. I'll open the floor up. That's one of the reasons I love to do it this way. I was just on one of these same calls yesterday that was set up in the webinar mode, so it's just a one-way communication. I at least feel like I can say hey to you and see your names and faces on the screen, and that's important to me. But while we've got a couple minutes, anybody got any questions or comments about anything that you've covered today? I think everybody's asleep on there. I see everybody's there with their eyes closed. So I think
I see a raised hand, Whitney.
Hey Ted,
Yes.
this is Whitney. Is there anything similar as far as Medicaid funding or any concerns around child and family services that we should be aware of?
yes, and there is. I'm glad you said that. There is, at least on the North Carolina side, and I don't know about South Carolina, though South Carolina has done a couple of really good things for us lately. But on the North Carolina side, they have put more money in for home and community-based services and for behavioral health, because that is such a big issue. So that's a couple of things that have gotten more play in the North Carolina state budget, is those at-home services, which are important too. But beyond that, I think that's about as close as I know. There is if you'll email me or anybody that's interested, there's a little legislative, kind of a health and human services legislative kind of an overview of where things stand right now, and I'll be happy to share that with you if you'll shoot me an email. But thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Also, this is Nakia. Also, there are talks about an increase on our family foster care rates again. So fingers crossed for that.
Absolutely. And so needed. And the thing that worries me now, and Whitney, this is back to your point also, the thing that scares me now, and Nakia, to that funding and to the nursing home funding, the House has now passed a budget. Now the Senate has passed a budget, and now they put a conference committee together of House members and Senate committee members or Senate members, and then they go behind closed doors and they hammer out the final deal. And so it's very it is not transparent. It's not in public where they're doing this. They're behind closed doors. So they're kind of cutting deals and you give me this that I want, and I'll give you that you won't. And then they just come out and say we've approved it, and that's the end of it. And so that's what we're trying to sway that argument right now, because they're getting ready to go behind closed doors and do this. And so Nakia, to your point, that foster care could get cut out, or the behavioral health funding could get cut out, or the nursing homes could get cut out, all of the above. And there's so many important needs out there. And I realize that too, that we've all got our hand out, LSC especially, because we have so many different programs. So we have our hand out in so many different ways. And there are winners and losers in every one. And the South Carolina legislature is the very same way. It's whoever's got the loudest voice sometime and the strongest supporters. And unfortunately, we're not in a position to, we can't legally donate to legislators. So we don't always get heard in that world because we're not major donors, sadly. We're coming right up on the 30 minutes, and I don't want to go over. I know y'all have got things to do. I just appreciate the opportunity to see your faces and to chat a little bit about what's going on in the world, and to thank you again for all you're doing. Dana, thanks for praying and for bringing your cat, our feline, to the meeting also. Feel free to email me or any of the leadership team if you got any other questions. And I appreciate your time, and I hope you'll have a good rest of the day and a good weekend. Thank y'all.